video series. Today, I wanted to talk about how to process challenging conversations so you don't get stuck in those loops of thinking and rethinking and analysis paralysis. And I think the first step, I broke it into 3 steps, and I recommend doing it in these steps. Although I think a lot of people like to do the process however they want to do it. I'm recommending this process in this way, specifically because most people do not want to identify step one. And step one is to look at and identify all the places you experienced resistance within yourself. All of those places, whether it was a resistance to having the conversation, the resistance to speaking the truth, whatever the resistance is, it's usually going to be those two. Um, but you want to be able to write down where you're in resistance and really have that awareness within yourself, because you're going to start to see a pattern, and you can't address patterns of resistance if you don't know it's a pattern. So you want to really look at and write down like the whole situation from beginning to end, when it started in your head to where it got to the actual physical conversation, whether it's remote, on the phone, or in person. So afterwards, you'll having a conversation with yourself, and you're like, okay, let me do uh, a review and see where have I been in resistance within this experience, within this situation. Now, once you have that list written down, then the next thing you want to do, step two, is to go into pure gratitude from your heart space for all that resistance, for the awareness of knowing you're in resistance, right? Because if you don't do step one and step two, you can't jump to step two unless you've done step one, because your mind and your ego mind will interfere, and it will keep you from being in gratitude for all of it. So you want to go into pure gratitude for all of the resistance that you were able to find awareness around, and then all of the places that are invisible to you. So a lot of patterns are invisible, right? So most people do not look at patterns, they just look at situations and instances. But everything runs in patterns. So this is how you can become to be more astute in seeing these patterns. And then the third step that I think is really supportive and encouraging into how you process is like, what worked? What worked well in that conversation? Um, what was it? The location? Did the location work? Did the seating work? Did the room work? Did the telephone call work? Did the way you presented things work? Look at and identify what worked in that conversation. Resolution isn't always um, possible. We try to get resolution whenever possible in challenging situations, but sometimes there's an agreement to disagree, and that's okay. The ego does not like that, but it's really empowering to agree to disagree. So that's the 3-step process that will help you get out of analysis paralysis. It will help you grow and expand, and it will help you to see patterns that maybe you've never looked at before. So, I am Kiana Sage, and I guide people to peace. I hope you found this helpful and supportive on your journey. Cheers to being in sync.